Enrico.
Yeah, boy. Here we go.
Hey? Yeah, like we were saying, the setup, it feels comfortable here, right?
Yeah. It's cozy. It's relaxed. Good vibe.
Yeah. And that's what you're saying, that's what you need, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is perfect.
So you have a studio where you are? Like, are you saying the city?
In the city, it's on Castlereagh Street. It's called Pro Podcast Studio.
Yeah, okay.
It's literally just built for podcasts.
Really?
Yeah.
They're popping up everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's I think it's a big thing, man, especially in Australia. Yeah. But it's, I don't know, like when it comes to podcasting, I think what I'm excited about is the networks, like who will lead to other podcasts and stuff. Like you were talking about, Nick, well connected obviously in this industry in its own right.
Yep.
You get to meet all these people.
And he's done the hard yards already.
Yeah.
5 years, isn't it? 5 years, mate.
That's so much
and
experience.
He set this up and he's done it himself, and now he's just offering, like, to help other people, like give a platform for other podcasts.
Yeah.
What people want to get the message out, mate.
Definitely.
And that's what you're doing it for?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, there's also inspo as well because, you listen to podcasts. That I'm looking at that book right there, Diary of a CEO. He's one of the inspos as well. Stephen Bartlett, man. He mixes good, like, sort of business and getting deep as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. It's, yeah.
What's your mainly, do you have a day job?
Oh, we're recording?
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're always recording,
I love that.
dude.
I love that natural.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, sorry, man.
I think we record from the start. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just tell him, press record, man. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of it. It's
Sweet.
good, mate. Right?
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
It is.
But what's your main job? What is your main? 'Cause was it IT?
Yeah, it's tech. So telecommunications and software.
Yeah.
Digital marketing as well.
Yeah.
So telecommunications pretty much for the last 18 years, bro.
Really?
Yeah, long time. Started off in sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And moved up.
Yeah. The driver for that was, when I was about to have my first kid, man, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, man, what am I going to get into now? Obviously, I got to get ahead. But yeah, got into sales, never looked back.
Yeah.
But that was mainly the driver. But look, we didn't grow up wanting to be in tech. No. It's weird, man. I'm a uni dropout, bro.
Yeah, really? I work family business, mate.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know which way you're going.
Well, tell me about, I haven't actually asked you that yet.
We haven't. We've only had like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. So tell me.
Family business, labour hire, recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
Find mainly blue collar and tradespeople.
Right.
But the industry is really bad at the moment.
I think the economy is pretty tough, isn't it? Just in general. Yeah. And everyone's feeling the pinch.
Oh, everywhere, mate. Every industry.
Yeah.
And that's why I think when I met you, we got this conversation about how the world's changing. Was that after COVID I met you, right?
Definitely, man. Because sorry, I'm going to put my phone on silent.
No, go.
So that I couldn't wait to talk about it because I thought, is it just me? But ever since COVID, we all got locked up and we're forced to look inward. You're stuck with your own thoughts and feelings, bro. And I think that's a very good thing, but also a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
Like some people aren't used to that as well.
Well, solitude.
Pretty much.
I had to prepare for that. It was like being divorced. You're divorced as well.
I wasn't married, but separated. Yeah, but like feels exactly the same.
Well, it's that loneliness that you got to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened, it was like it was meant. I felt it was meant to happen for me.
Yeah.
In that weird way, it was like a bittersweet feeling.
I agree because the world needed a shift anyway. What did they say? That stuff, the Great Reset.
Yeah.
Now, how is that a bad thing? Look, it's the optimist in me just going, hey, man, things need to shift up. But I think ever since then, I don't know if you've noticed, man, things have been different, bro, since then.
Yeah, well, to set this new world thing coming in, I was a 5th week in lockdown. I remember I got upset, got sulky on the phone with my mum. So I was by myself.
Yeah.
And she's like, come Daniel, come save us, And I was like, dude, no, the old world's gone. Like, it's going, man. That old school world, there's new things coming through, this great reset, right?
Yeah.
That they talk about. And to start this new world, they have to collapse the old world.
Yeah.
So that's why it comes across these conspiracy theories, like forced collapses.
Right.
Like, where do you want to go into, mate? Like, and this is the main reason why I sort of do this, let a message out.
Yeah. When you said, like, you broke down and you cried to your mother, I have an interest in what men think.
Well, I'm not afraid of it, man. That's the thing, and that's where, see, I got upset mainly because I knew what was happening. You know, I was called all types of names.
Yeah.
When my vaccinated, you know, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Called all the stuff, everything happening, sort of, you know, was heading towards World War III. So I got upset, and and by going through that divorce process a few years after that, and crying by myself,
Yeah.
acknowledging that pain,
Yeah.
that suffering,
Yeah.
a broken person, you know what I mean?
I agree. I can relate. I'm not sure if it's the episode to really get into detail of what happens to us, but as men, I get really fascinated by previous generations and what we're taught to think that's weird or it's weak. Now, when you tell me something like that, the type of man that I am now, what a man. He's strong, right? We're not perfect. We go through these points where we're down, and to acknowledge that and, you know, to express it. I mean, even to your own mother. A lot of men, I don't know if you agree, because we've met a lot of people. I can tell I've known you not that long, but we've met a lot of people, and, you know, this whole stigma around it's weak to speak or to show emotion, to express emotion. That'd be awesome to talk to other men about going, man, that's strong, bro.
Yeah, he's strong.
Because some people really do think it's weak, you know, it's gay, all these things that they, and I'm like, man, this is rubbish. I mean, I'm not sure how we were programmed to think that that's weak. And it disturbs me a little, and it'd be nice to, you know, talk about that, because obviously the next generations we raise, Daniel, isn't it important that men are in tune with what's going on inside sometimes? It's not like you have to be deep all the time, but I hear that from someone like you. You know, the alpha males, you know, beta, whatever you want to call it. But man, this is strong, bro. Like sometimes we're going to be down. We need to deal with stuff, and we're upset and we cry, and we at least we talk about it, not internalize. Because I'm not sure if you know people that have internalized a lot.
Oh, you can see it, and they're angry. You know, well, the guys that keep it all in, you can tell. It's like they need to express it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let it out.
Yeah.
Let the pain out, man. Cry, have a cry. You know what I mean? It's not that you're not a man. You know, you can still be a man.
Yeah.
You can be a gentleman.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring back, is the gentle man.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
we're aligned, and I get so happy when I have this conversation to talk to other guys, and no matter who listens to this and listens to other similar podcasts, to go, hey, let's remove that stigma, because people that internalize, why this is important to me, Daniel, if you don't mind me mentioning, is that this statistic or the logic in me kicks in when I heard that if you're under 40, as a guy, under 40 years old, the highest chance of you dying is by suicide. So the suicide is killing more people. If you're under 40, that's the biggest killer. Now, people have mentioned this, and when I think of suicide, as dark as that subject is, you think to yourself, why would someone end their own life? And I know of a few only that you would never think. I'm not sure if you've heard this. You heard suicides like, oh, you would have never thought.
All the time.
Now, what does this mean? That means that we're internalizing everything. They couldn't express, they couldn't talk to anyone about it. Now, who taught them that? Is it the previous generations?
Yeah. The ones before that, probably through war.
Exactly.
It's the generation.
No, it's not their fault. See, this is
No,
the
it's
thing.
not their fault. They don't
their-
understand it. My dad has an emotional connection with me. No offense, beautiful man, really soft, but he can't express himself. He doesn't like confrontation because he can't express. He'll get emotional.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because he hasn't been taught.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And look, my father, very similar there. He's literally out of all people in the world, I love my dad the most. But I feel like, you know, because of previous generation, I'm not sure if I really got to know really what was going on with him. And I don't think that's his fault, man, because you just learn it. Yeah. And isn't it up to us as men? Like, you raise good men of the world. You've got children, right?
Yeah.
We want to set an example now.
This is what it's about.
That's it, man. And make the boys feel awesome about it, man. It's like, you know, the camaraderie. What I find really interesting about this is there's a few words that men react to, like, you know, it's strong, it's smart, it's wise to deal with issues sometimes. Now, coming from one of the boys, going, yeah, man, I've got some shit, man. I've got these issues. Like, you know, sometimes I feel like this or whatever. It's kind of like if they feel that that's weak, they will internalize, right? And it's weird because I've had a lot of people, my previous life prior to getting evicted 5 times out of Bondi, This is my it's a brief story, right? I used
hear this
to live that
story
whole basically
5 times.
living. When I split with the missus, moved to Bondi, right? You think, man, let's go, let's play, because
That's
you know
right. You
wanna
tell me
go.
that, dude.
Yeah, bro.
I wish I knew you back then too.
Yeah,
That'd have been fun.
good times, bro.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that 5 evictions and what if? I hope it makes sense straight away. Evicted 5 times for noise complaints, which means I partied.
right.
I partied really hard. I'm talking Bondi penthouses. It was just crazy, bro. Like throwing massive parties, man. I turned my apartment into like a club, like with lights and basically dance floors that were
You go
just
back
great
to
with
that?
DJs.
You go back to that?
Never now.
Okay.
Never know. But I feel like it wasn't to no avail because, look, I've always loved to party. I haven't hung up my boots by any.
Yeah,
Like
man.
means,
You're
but I'm
still-
telling you, man,
you're
I
still
still
young,
love
dude.
to give it a hit. Yeah. But what I learned about that, back to, I guess, what you and I were talking about there about people expressing themselves for some strange reason. You know, a man at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, getting to know them and what's really going on. They start to express themselves. And when you express yourself, you work things out. When you work things out, you take action. Now, one of my favorite birthdays was my 38th birthday 4 years ago. I'll never forget it. There's a reason for that. I got the most random messages, texts. Oh, some were DMs on Messenger as well, saying happy birthday, as you do. And they said, I just want to thank you because I talked to my mum again. I want to thank you for existing. I changed my career after that chat. Now, these were one night. Like, could you imagine that? Like, one time you met them, yeah, you get along. For some reason, everyone loves each other at 2 a.m. anyway. But you never, not that you never see them again on purpose, and I think, man, isn't that kind of cool? Because if they felt comfortable to tell me stuff that night, that's a perfect example of a man working himself out.
That's it.
But how often does he do that? Really, when you think about it, you go into the normal world when you're not in the drink or high or whatever the state they're in at the time, and you think, man, are they internalizing a lot? Because if you don't have these conversations regularly, then you're suppressing a lot.
That's right.
And I think it's really important for men to go, okay, I haven't spoken to one man that goes, you know what, weak or strong? It's strong. But for some reason in our head, we've been programmed to think it was weak. And look, we talk about our own fathers, and again, it's not their fault. It's like, man, expressing yourself, what the hell, man? You know what? That probably would have been laughed at back then.
Yeah, that's it. They were even the older, my grandparents' generation, just even holding a kid or touching the kid, like that was the woman's job.
Yes. Yeah.
That showed weakness.
That's it. And it's up to us to change it. And I think, look, I know the impact that we both have on people.
Oh, yeah.
And as I hope it doesn't sound too conceited, but what we use this for now, man, we've got to stand for the right things,
This
man.
is why we're connected, dude. And this like that person that told you that they spoke to their mum, your purpose for his life was that. That's all it was. That was you. You were a messenger for that time for him to realise that.
And you've done the same.
100%.
You've done the same.
Yeah.
And when I say that this fulfilling, all these deep words that we're not used to, man, purpose, how fulfilling is that? And success it's defined as monetary. Yeah. There's all these things that I'd love to talk about in future episodes with you.
Oh,
because,
100%, man.
Man, monetary success is only one version, and I love that. Don't get me wrong, man. That is awesome. But there's this other side of success where you feel like you've accomplished something that's outside of yourself, and it's about giving back. Or
we're meant to step up new levels all the time as men, consistently moving forward, not sitting in one place.
Yeah,
that's why I like doing this. I've done plenty of other things as well. To see, you get to a point, and then you sort of, what's the next stage? Sometimes I sit home and I'm like, okay, I've accomplished this, I've done this, now what's the next thing? And I'll wait. Yeah, and something appears like this. Going back to growing the young men as well. What you're saying, my son's football team.
Yeah,
that was one of my little projects, and it worked. It was good. By gathering a good coach, trainers, we all worked together, and we sort of about respect, working as a team, not putting each other down. Right. That was rugby league, because the culture's different towards soccer. Man, dude, I went from soccer for my son to, So I had to tidy up a few loose ends, you know what I mean? But to get them all to the final, they didn't win. They lost by a second, top of the table, but they did everything asked. And what they learnt from that pain of losing, getting right there, was sort of what was needed for them in a weird way. Do you know what I mean? Like I said to the coach, it's sort of good they lost. Whether that, because it's the next stage. What do they learn from this season? Yeah. Work together, push. They train, they push, they got fit. They were so good, mate. And then last second just lost it. The tears, dude, it was painful.
But could you imagine being their age and look at their coaches and what they're about and what you're about right now? Could you, the example that you're setting, tears aside, and like, man, they're looking up to you in a way that we're the example, and what did you learn from this and all that sort of stuff, instead of like, oh, you lost. There's so many different types of coaches, right? But like, hearing that makes me happy, man, because you're raising a new generation. You're setting an example because we're the new leaders, right? So I'm proud of you. Thanks, I'm really proud that you're, especially in the football, that culture.
Well, I was actually happy. I had to accept from him leaving soccer and doing rugby league. I had to accept that it wasn't about me. What I was brought up playing soccer. It was how can he benefit from rugby league? And I thought, dude, I'm all about building young, strong men.
Yeah,
he's 12. He was 11 at the time.
Yeah,
when I started 2 years ago, I was like, how can I implement this? So I wanted to bring something. This is how I can. If I got 17, 12-year-old boys, that I could try and give them philosophy of respect, all that sort of stuff, dude. They come up to the coaches now. They shake their hands. They see me in public or see me at the school. They shake my hand now.
Right.
Do you know, that's just, but by leading by example as well.
Yes.
So when I see the coaches and trainers, we shake each other, we treat each other with respect, and it goes down the food chain.
Well, mate, what you're doing is you're bringing it back, D.
Of course.
Bring it back, respect, these values that you're more of a man to me if you have respect, if you are loyal, right? Loyalty. These attributes that I believe if the next generation are raised to think that is the real man. Because when you define masculinity, it's actually pretty strange, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that I've seen, and I think we can both agree that we've both seen a lot.
Oh, yeah.
If you're ever out, right, and it's principally against what you're about, I don't want to condone it anymore, because if I don't speak up, I mean, there's a lot of wrong things going on, and it's up to the man to go, you know what, loyalty, all this sort of stuff that we are about. I think it's time for some people or a group of men to step up and say, hey, man, that's wrong, because there's a lot of stuff that I've disagreed with and I've said nothing. And it's kind of led me to where we are now to go, hey, man, we're the real men of the world to me, because I'll make you feel like more of a man if you're loyal. For example, more of a man if you respect or how you treat others, how you treat women.
And committed to, you know what I mean?
That's it.
Commitment, mate.
Yeah. And, hearing you with the impact that you wanted to make on the next generation, I love that, because why are we sitting here? Because this is what we stand for, and we want to spark change.
See, what else can we do, dude? You know what I mean? We're a transition age. So going back to the old school way.
Yeah.
All right? And then this new age coming in, we need to bring that balance. We need to bring that old school back into the new generation. Like, we've got to focus on the 12-year-olds under all these new boys coming through, young men of the next generation. But then you look at the schools as well, right? What the implements into. Like, how far do we go?
Here we go.
But, apart from the school, you also look at the parents at home too.
Yeah.
If the mother's taking away that manly from the husband, from the dad, emasculated, you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
They see that. They see the way a woman will control a man, because that's the way it has happened a lot. That's why there's a lot of divorce and so on. Not just because of that.
Yep.
So it's what they see at the family household as well, and think it's right, but it's also what's happening in the school. This new agenda coming through.
Oh, goodness.
Well, this person I met the other day, marrying college has got, apparently, they've got a kitty litter thing in the toilets because someone identifies as a cat.
Oh. that
Dude,
one.
And the teachers are getting taught. They've had a 6-hour course on how to treat this person now. This is real, man. Like,
this is what's going on.
It's coming in. So what we're trying to do is pushing shit uphill sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just implement, it's also protecting the old way. This new way is coming in.
Yeah.
And while we talk about it, while people complain about the costs of everything and this war going on, this is what's happening behind. And a lot of parents talk about it but don't do nothing. I had another parent come to me, Catholic. These are Catholic schools. One of them said, you can't tell me what to do, Mum, it's my body, my choice, and all that sort of stuff. It's
a
10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Teachers taught him that.
It's, the environments. I would love maybe in the future to really find out why this is happening. Because once you look at the root cause of something, is like what's like made people to not want to be labeled as something, or so, like it's. I'm not sure if this is coming out right, but the reason why that's happened in general, I'd like to talk about that with experts, where they think maybe people that know about psychology or like upbringings. Look, we're only a product of our own upbringing.
Right.
This is like everything we are, even sitting here today, we're a product of how we were brought up as parents, what we were taught from teachers, like you said, and the examples of other men or other women in our lives. And I think when you said before some sort of great reset around, things are changing now, well, it's very, very apparent that things are changing. But anything that we disagree with, speak up, or you look at the root cause of why things are happening. For example, if we just spoke about why men have thought it was weak to speak and express all of that. Well, where'd they learn that from previous generations, right? Now, when I think of the examples that we're setting now, is this something that we can talk about more to actually work out why? Because when I look at the reason why, if someone, for example, has been abused when they were younger, let's talk about DV. Violence and stuff like that. There's a high chance that person saw that growing up and thought it was normal.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we talk about the reason why these things are happening, why these kids wanting to do that. Like, there's always a root cause for it, because generally speaking, when you think about breaking cycles, that's interesting to explore. Because when we both say that things are changing, the upbringing is we just think that's normal. But to break that cycle is interesting, because when you actually acknowledge that there is a problem, that's when you address it.
Yeah, and I think, does that come from when you figure out with yourself as well?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things I do, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
That can't happen. I was brought up that way, but it's different now.
That's
So
right.
how do I change that? How do I?
right.
And then you sort of learn that way, right?
Well, my example is I actually sought 6 years of counselling in secrecy.
You did 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years, man. And when I say this is the best thing that I've ever done to come out the other end a changed man, the most successful I've ever felt. Interesting that we mentioned that word, successful. The most successful I've ever felt was when my son told me that I've changed.
Ooh. In a good way.
In the best way. Now, this feeling right here, I walk myself back to that. And I remember it was like it was yesterday. It's
beautiful
I want to
to
share
hear.
with all the men of the world that deal with stuff or put up their hand to go, hey, man, I got some shit, bro. I got some issues, man. Like, everyone's got fucked up issues. Some people are just better at hiding it. But you know what? For me to feel that, I've never felt more successful in my life. Now, I've seen monetary success and all this sort of stuff. I love that shit too. But when I say this one feels better, it's like I want everyone to go, man, this, right? You know when you feel like, oh, man, this one here, boys, man, let's just work on our shit and come out the other end and deal with our stuff.
And it's so beautiful too.
Man, and I've experienced it. I'm like, man, how does no one talks about this shit? Like, I'd love to talk about it more. I'd love to talk to other people that have done it. It's like, man, this one here feels way better than this other version of success that the world's programmed our mind to think that's the shit, which is one version of it only. But when I say the other version feels better, and that was tough, man. And I would say like 6 years. Could you imagine that? I'd walk out of a counseling room feeling worse when walking out than I did walking in. But little did I know that 6 years later, and it's interesting when they give you perspective on, like, you actually really do work yourself out.
Yeah,
but
to work on, man.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like this mentality around why I did it in secrecy, Daniel. Why did I do it in secrecy? I was embarrassed. The whole thing.
Judgment of people.
Judgment of people. It's like, oh my God, he's broken, fix me.
Yeah,
But one of my mentors actually said to me, flip the word counselor to coach. What happens to our mind? Because counselors, I'm broken, fix me.
Yeah, you got a problem.
I get it. It's tough, man.
Dude, yeah.
But coach, I go, look, you want to play the piano? You want to play footy? What do? You get a coach.
Good way of thinking about it.
What's the problem with me going, hey, man, I'm shit when I'm angry. I'll put up my hand going, hey, I'm not good at this. How do I deal with this? That's a coach, right? Now, when I said I'm getting coaching, like, this is not, like, counseling has got this connotation.
It's the word.
It's weird. It's kind of like, oh my God, I'm so like,
yeah.
I'm so broken and there's something wrong with
You're
me.
at home in a corner,
Bro,
bobbing up and down.
Bro, but like, you got a coach, man. It's like you got a business coach, right? I mean, what's another example? You get a personal trainer. Yeah. Like, dude,
mentor, dude, just a mentor.
Yeah. Well, mental health is really important to me because look, for me, it's close to my heart because, I've, like we both have, Daniel.
But you dealt with this. It's a good, you go on mental health actually, because again, young generation is what I'm about. I know a lot of young ones in their 20s and unders, and a lot of them are on medication, anxiety and stress. And this is the one thing I don't get. Like, do they get told that? Like, how does someone at that young age, 15-year-olds as well, at school, they give them cards, tickets, they can go off with their anxiety and stress and go have time off. And I sort of get that, but is that, the way you've dealt with this, that's what's needed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? At a young age, they don't know. What are they stressed
And I
about?
believe it. And if we go back to suicides as well, the stats are that there's an increase in suicides for really young people. I heard the other day that a 10-year-old took himself. Now, I don't understand this. Look, there's something going on. But again, look, us as men...
PSYOPs, dude.
Well, this is...
PSYOPs, dude. Psychological warfare, mate.
Yeah, but where did they learn this from? Now, there's a quick story that I want to tell you about making sense out of all this. My firstborn had a friend who hung himself in his room.
How old?
He was 16, his friend, and my son was 14 at the time. Now, come over my son's house and they'd hang out. Anyway, could you imagine how that affects the friends? And anyway, dude, I remember my son telling me, he's like, you don't understand that. I would have never thought. He goes, you don't understand. Like, he would have never thought. And I was outside Bill's Surrey Hills. We're having lunch and my son's having panic attacks. Now, this is the real effect of, obviously, could you imagine, man, trying 14, to process that at 14, right? Now, when I thought about this and when he said, look, Dad, you would have never known. And it goes back to our point going, this guy would have just suppressed it. If he learned that, like, no, I'm good. Like, no, suck it up, man. You're all right. You're a man. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not all right,
goes
bro.
to the garage, does stuff, ignores it, doesn't spend time.
Who is he got to talk to? Because he doesn't feel like it's a strong thing to do to express yourself. Now, this is, because you're a father, you'll understand this
dude,
one.
I'm thinking about it now.
Now, we'll think of this story here, which will inspire not just yourself, but perhaps other people if we actually do share this and this goes out there. But I come home to a WhatsApp message from my son after this all happened. I remember it. I had a night out, a bit tipsy. I come home, sitting on my bed, and I get this WhatsApp message. And you know what it said? It goes, Dad, I'm not dealing with this very well. And he's expressing himself, and he goes, I want to seek some professional help just like you did.
Okay, good. See that, man?
Now, the reason I'm saying this is, where did he learn that from? The example that he knows. I had my issues, and I've changed.
That's right.
And I deal with shit, but I wasn't okay sometimes. Yeah. And it's all right to just be down. Yesterday was Are You Okay Day, man. That's close to my heart now because I'm telling you, if we speak at least, now my son expresses himself. Imagine he was taught to suppress it. I'm like, and I was brought up like that. No, I'm all right, man. I'm all right, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't like it? Fuck off.
Reaction.
No, I am who I am, whatever. Man, I'm completely different. And I find it so, like, not just successful. I feel like, man, I feel like broken a family cycle in a way that, like, I feel like that previous generations were taught that, but because I worked on myself, now the next generations, including the manly conversations now that we come in, let's do this, bro. Let's make sure they're in touch and they do express. Because when these factual statistics, I'm really emotional, right? But when I look at the facts going, hey, if you're under 40, the highest chance of you dying is by suicide. Well, suicides are caused, in my opinion, majority of them, by suppressing. And it's males. 75% of suicides are males. 75%. So look,
but how the old generation, they suppressed, right? But them, they didn't do suicide because they were like, we work, we do this. They had a purpose.
Yeah.
So these young kids who are doing it.
Let's talk about that.
Well, this is it. If they have suicide, they don't have what's their purpose, dude? Like, if they don't have one, then they sit in their room on the computer online, watching weird shit, getting told you got a problem, you got to see counselling. Like, or they're not close to their friends, they don't feel good enough to. Because I find that 20-year-olds and under, they're really soft. Like, I meet a lot of them and they're quite beautiful, man. They're soft.
Yeah.
like really nice boys, mate. You know, really soft. So they probably are expressing themselves, maybe, but to their parents more social, maybe to their friends.
Maybe look, you got the online world as well. Look, we got to remember we didn't grow up with social media and all this
No,
sort
we
of
had our
stuff.
parents, dude. We came home, mum and dad were the boss.
Yeah, but purpose is an interesting one to talk about. Like, how do you even work that out?
Took me 38 years, maybe.
Well, imagine you could have worked it out earlier. So when you work out purpose, it's kind of like using what your God-given gift is. For example, like, are you born a sportsman, a musician, a salesman, a creative? Like, you're gifted with something, and to figure that out. Now, I remember it was all about going to university. I was pretty smart, bro. Like, not naturally, but I had to study and all that sort of stuff. And it was all about going to uni and being a doctor or a lawyer, which I probably could have done. But that's not me, man. I'm a people guy, right? So I feel like when I got into sales, for example, I knew that I had an impact on people and I want to help people and all that sort of stuff. So I got into that and never looked back. But I'm a uni dropout. And I still remember I was at the station, and when I told my dad that I was dropping out of uni.
Drop out, see.
Drop out, yeah.
That sounds horrible, just like
the
counselling.
uni dropout. See, this is the
what I
thing.
mean?
And I remember the way he looked at me, Daniel. And he looked at me like, you know, that disappointment, or like, no, finish uni because that's what. But I had to rebel against that, going, you know what, I'm miserable. I don't want to be a computer systems engineer. Oh, that's the course I was doing. And hats off. But that's just not me. Like, boring or not boring.
You're a
like
free range. You're a free range chicken,
That's
dude.
right. And I had to go, you know what, I'm not happy. And I'm like, you know, obviously if it's about purpose, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have figured out that, like, you know, my career took off because I got into something that I want to do. But, you know, when I think of purpose is like, you know, what are you good at? Now, again, I always, we're talking about the next generation. I remember being in Big W, Daniel. Imagine pushing a trolley, right? And your son goes, so Dad, I don't know, what should I be when I grow up? And I'm like, that's a big question, bro. I'm just pushing a trolley in Big W. And I'm like, how do I answer that? Because my parents would have thought, oh, go to uni, then be this, then be this. And I go, you know what I said to him? I had to think about it. And I go, find out what you're really good at. And the second thing I taught him was, don't put a time limit on it. Because how much pressure we put on ourselves, or by 20 years old, you should be this, or by 30 years old, you should have a kid. No, this is like, when the hardest part is working it out. Once you work out what you're really good at, man, it's like amazing what comes from it. I mean, if it is about money just flows when you're doing what you love, right? But when you're naturally good at something, working that out was the hardest part. So I love how you talk about purpose, because when you see, like, you know, talk about these kids, I'm a bit confused, like, you know, what is the purpose? But imagine we work this out. You said it took you 38 years.
Well, because I followed that, you know, go to work, get a trade, or, you know, uni or whatever, and find someone, get married, have kids and so on.
Yeah.
And live the life your parents did.
Now think of it this way. Imagine we worked it out earlier.
Oh, dude.
Now, how do you work it out earlier? Is it through conversations like this? Is it the schools going, man, there's no school out there that I've looked, the curriculum's apparently exactly the same, which is pretty fucking annoying in its own right, which I hope it changes one day through conversations like this. But imagine at school, you just knew like what you were, and your purpose is this, and teachers see like, man, that guy's this X factor about him, or that guy's an intellect, that guy's a creative, that guy's the next amazing musician. But you work it out, but through others, through the environments, right? Not just through your parents, but through the teachers. And these conversations here, man, like, you know, when you work out what you really want or what you're about, again, it's all about having conversations around it, you know, having encouragement around who we are, but purpose. Is there a way to figure that out earlier, or is this something we just have to really work out ourselves?
I think we've got to wake up a bit. Like, imagine teaching Stoicism at school. Like, to the young men of the generation, like just that. It's like just to start that, really.
Yeah.
You know, man, we go to school. It's that is different now. Like I mentioned the stuff.
Yeah.
My son got shown a global warming video in Catholic school, and it said to eat less meat. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Like, the way it's happening is different. So I think people are learning more outside school now.
Yep.
You know, depending on their parents.
Yep.
Starting younger. You know, the restrictions, like you know, you were saying, that white picket fence talk, you know, that's why when my bubble burst, going through the process you went through, obviously similar, and then you find this purpose. And it was like, I always like to talk.
Well,
Like to should be send a message,
and now you're so aware. You know what I love about you, man? When you know the conversations, how we encourage each other, we cheer each other up about what we're doing now, is because we found it. See, right here, we're not even about the likes, or we're not about like we're after like what we're doing now. We know we were meant for this, like to be messages, to use our impact on people for the greater good of the world. Now we manifest this stuff, like whatever God anyone believes in, right? I know that the fact that in my mind, this was always on my mind, and it leads to these good people. We haven't even talked about how awesome our story is, D. Yeah. You remember how we met?
Yeah.
In freaking sauna, bro.
This is
at
like,
the hills.
as a second one I brought in the sauna, Nick's probably gone.
Bro, there's something about the people you meet in the sauna, man. Maybe that's our meditation.
Because
or
you're
like
so
what we
hot, you're dying in there, you just blah, blah. It's like when I'm tired, when you're hitting that tired stage and you blah, blah, blah. All that wisdom comes out, man. You don't care about stuff. You're gasping for air, you're hot.
Yeah.
And we're just brainstorming after a good workout.
Yeah. And I love that. And I remember it was in the change room and we're just talking, and then you're like, and I'm like, man, there's something, you're vibing.
Straight away, dude.
And I just like, now that we're sitting here,
it's here, man,
it just feels so good,
meant to
man.
be,
Because how long, that was about 6 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably longer.
Yeah.
Oh no, years gone quick, dude.
But you know how I knew that this was going to happen? Do you remember the messages every now and then for your check-in going, how's the podcast going? Mm-hmm. My type of people, and I'm like, man, I got so encouraged by that, but we're aligned, right? And the universe will always bring this, because we've found our purpose. Now it's all aligned. Now I really do believe in that. Like, I even pray about it because I'm a Christian. Look, whatever. But like, I feel like
it's good.
gratitude and all this sort of stuff, and like bring the right people into my life. Now, whether someone asks the universe for that or asks God, for me, it's true, man. Like whatever we sort of put our mind to, I guess, if it's about mindset or what do we pray? Like, man, it just look what's happening.
It's a weird feeling, dude. They call it manifestation. They call it this. Yeah, I know. You know when it's no. Like going with Nick over here. I talk about Nick a lot. I love the bar. I love the little.
Big respect for you, by the way. I mean, the way he talks about you, man.
Dude, like,
love that.
But he's 27. He's learned so much now. Wish I said it just before you came in. I wish I knew as much at that age. Like, that's what I mean. These young men, he's the leader. He's got good head on his shoulders, mate, and he's going to do well, And this is the thing, like, what coming here for the first time, just feeling that, I was like, oh, I'm in the right place, man. He's on the same path. What I mean? You're on the same path.
Yeah, and I think with the examples of even someone at his age, obviously much younger than us, as I take that as an inspiration to even get to know how he came about to do this and how hard it was to perhaps be so authentically him and unique to go, man, I'm going to follow this. So it'd be good to talk to people like
Look what he's done, dude. You know what I mean? And this is why I'm here. It's like I'm not doing it just for me. This is not about me. It's about you, about Nick.
It's about all of us. And I think really what this is about is get the men and women that are not just well-spoken, but have a passionate message to send out there with authenticity and real talk. And I know with what Nick's seen, there's going to be some very interesting things for the people like us with our gift to be able to talk to go, hey, man, let's shake shit up.
Yeah,
because you know what? Change, old keys don't open new doors, bro. Let's move different if we want different. And I know that my excitement comes from, man, let's go. And I know I've got an impact on people. I'm not sure. It sounds conceited, but I've got an impact on people. What I'm going to do with it now. And I want to stand for all of this, all the values that we speak about as men, especially. And again, I'm not discounting women, but us men, we gotta make each other feel awesome for different reasons now. Yeah. It's not just because of what you got and how many girls you fucking bang. I get. I mean, these are just normal manly things, but there's other things we gotta feel good about that we just go, man. What about the next generation?
There's more to us.
More to us, man. Look at this, man. I would have never thought that this was a thing. Let's talk about what's going on with us.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm feeling awesome, right? How come? Like, we don't know this. Like, we didn't know this at a young age.
No.
At 27 years old, this guy's going, man, this is the shit, man. This is what makes people happy.
This is gold, dude. This is gold. And it's taken this generational 80 years, 100 years, whatever. Like they're saying, I always talk about it, good times create weak men. And we're going to go through hard times, dude.
Yep.
We are. And I think our age, we have to transition. We're the age group that has to sort of build those young ones. And look, even talking about women, I know some young girls, man, they are strong.
Yeah.
My niece is strong. My cousin's daughter, there's one of them strong. Like their attitude, they're strong.
Yeah.
Women playing rugby league. My son had a Hawkesbury Cup thing, and there's girls that played. There's two of them. Oh, mate, they all strong.
But have you noticed women just talk, bro?
Yeah.
Man, why do you think they're always just, man, they're resilient as fuck. Like, they just deal with stuff and they actually express and they talk.
And then there's the thing. People say, how do you get women? We'll talk to them. Once you stimulate the mind.
Get to know them.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like the guys are shy now. Guys are cut off.
Yeah.
And by having these talks, they are cut off. And I have met another bloke at the gym. My mate's son, I train with him. He's 20, 19, 20. Mate, I train with him. He's the best. He's opening up more, just hanging around me, just sort of just express, talk. We transfer books that we listen to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what it's all part of.
Well, look, if we're talking about this now, and I'm starting to notice other men are starting to as well, and there's other movements that are out there globally, by the way.
Yeah.
I see some in the USA, in England, and what I love about this is to break that stigma once and for all through experiences and sharing examples. Like, have you noticed when people share their stories, you start to relate?
Oh, yeah,
you're not as fucked up as you think you are, because there's other shit people going through this shit.
This is what this guy going back to the party, you said with the mum, you spoke to the mum, that message that you got. If you express what you feel and you get it out there and be open, they then feel they can be open too. That's that chain of reaction.
Yeah. And another thing as well, like, with the young generation, I feel for them for one reason as well, is social media. Now, in this world of, I guess, comparison, I remember telling my son, compare yourself to yourself. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I mean, some adults struggle from scrolling, right? Now, when you think you're comparing yourself to yourself, this is a tough thing to do, but there's a lot that's going in.
It's gotten worse, man.
Well, this is the thing. I think I would love to, if you're open to it, to talk about, how that really is affecting the young ones. Because we didn't grow up with this shit, bro. But this is the thing, but everyone's trying to prove something now, and authenticity for me, I think, look, you can't dodge the internet. It's too powerful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, social media is going to be out there, but what do they represent? I think it's actually amazing what social media can do, because it leads people like us to be able to do this, and then we can share, and some guy in USA might listen to this guy, man, that's mad. Yeah. And then we get people listening, and then people relate, and then more people start talking, which is great. But I believe authenticity is missing. Yeah. Because authenticity for me is the most attractive thing about any guy or any girl for that matter. Don't get me started on girls' authenticity, because it's like, you're not like, fair enough, like, good looking and everything like that, which, a lot of guys like, and I get that. But, when they're authentic and they're just genuinely themselves, they don't conform, that is the most attractive thing. And I've talked to men as well, but you think that they're looking for all this whole, like, oh my God, she's so this and she's so, but when a girl's herself, man, I couldn't think of anything more attractive than that, sexy, bro. Man. They become a 10 immediately, because it's not that just a physical bit of, but are we onto something where it's like, it is just all about looks? Well, they're going to go by what men actually go, man, you know what? The most attractive girls, the authentic ones. Yeah. I mean, if you're funny, or if you're smart, or if you're, into this or you're into that, at least the attention it means something, because don't get me started on attention, because attention, this is attention, what we're doing. Well, but for what meaning, right? Yeah. Now, this is why I'm happy to go public. You know what scares me a bit, Daniel? Yeah, remember when I posted last night about, I'm going on a podcast? That's got something to do with attention, but it's meaningful, because the reason I want to go public is now, I've always had a private profile. I'm happy with that.
Me too, dude.
But why would I go public? Do you go public for a reason? Now it feels meaningful. So I feel like social media, man, like people are just trying to outdo each other and competing, and they're conforming, and you're not even, like, what's different about you? Like,
do it for the wrong reason.
Well, that's the thing. And imagine our daughters and our sons, like, you got to stand for something, right? I mean, this is the only reason I'm going public. I'm excited because this is what I'm about. I want to actually, if I want to go public, there's a reason for it. Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous too, sort of thing at the point, but I haven't really promoted it.
Well, let's do this, man.
I'm just doing it. Yeah. I'm just doing it. And whatever comes, I don't care, man. I just want to do this.
Look at how, for me, what a man, right? When I say, look, you want to talk about, that's awesome, bro. It's because you want to help people. You want to impact other lives, man. You know how good you should feel about that? You've made me feel amazing about it over the phone, and I've always wanted to say a proper thank you, man. We're the same, bro. We're doing this.
I'm just a reflection, dude. Do you know what I mean? That's what
you're very modest, but please feel so... please feel so good about yourself for what you're doing, wanting to help and impact others and raise the next generation in the right way. And I know, even looking at your face and the way you speak, you're a man of influence. And because you're doing it for this, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, thanks.
I really am.
And I'm excited for your journey too, mate. But we do it together. Do you know what I mean? Like an Avengers. Hey?
Yeah.
I got
Assemble.
Alfred over here, man. It's Justice League, mate. Hey? Even the Flash. What nationality are you? What nationality?
Filipino, brother.
Filipino Flash.
Yeah, Filipino. Oh, I like that.
Morning.
Filipino
I love doing that. I got Filipino workers, mate.
Filipinos?
Yeah. Morning, boss.
Good
I love
morning, sir.
Dude.
How
Beautiful
are
people.
you?
Beautiful people, man.
Yeah,
But you know, Filipinos are very Christian, right? So you're saying you're Christian?
Yeah. I grew up a Christian. Filipinos are generally good-hearted. They're taught to treat people well, and obviously Christianity is all about do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Big hearts. Very proud of that, actually. Well, I can't say all Filipino, but probably a majority. But yeah, Christianity is a massive part of my life. I actually grew up a Christian playing in a band, and I was the head musician, and we'd sing praise and worship songs.
Really? I've seen you dance.
Dance? Yeah, I love to dance, bro.
Mate, you could check. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to dance, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like breakdancing when I was younger, just dabbling in it a little bit. But like, I love anything music, man. I play the piano and all that sort of stuff. I think that's a creative outlet that I love.
And do you think as well, like pianos and that sort of stuff, that kids don't do that sort of stuff now on the computers? But do we need to bring Christianity back into the families, mate?
Look, I think because Christianity is obviously one of a few religions, but you know why I'm so proud of Christianity is the values that it teaches you. I still remember because I grew up a Christian, right? I didn't want to sort of force it onto my kids. And why I got so inspired recently is without me pushing it, they started asking about God. And I've taken to church a few times already, and they feel amazing after
That's
it.
so good.
And you know what? This is God talking. Like
That's
I'm not forcing it to happen.
so
I'm like,
good,
well, they want to. And then two of my three kids, their screensaver on their phone is Bible verses, Jeremiah 29:11. For example, for another plans. Now, what I love about this is it's a way of life. Now, the way of life is like what your values and how it makes you feel when you pray. To be grateful. In the sauna, I don't want to feel weird anymore. Like, I go to the sauna to pray, to thank God for another day that I live in Australia, that I got a roof over my head and I can eat. Now, that shit right there, man.
That's what it's about, man.
Like, it makes you, like, this gratitude thing. I know it's spoken about a lot, but it's real, man. Like, could you imagine going to the sauna 4 times a week on purpose to just go, that's my time, to say thanks and to be grateful, because it provides like this happiness that, to be content with where you are now and just to be grateful. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more as well, but, to be grateful for what I have now, there is a happiness in that. And it's back to the point when, Christianity, like, what's Christianity all about? When you think of the values that have been taught, 2,000 years ago, and how it's so relevant it is today, and how you feel when you are a Christian, that, you stand for something, because, it's good to believe in something. They say, if you don't believe in anything, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah, that's right, man. Well, this is it. This is,
what do you think about it?
Because I used to pray every night.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, when she passed away, I've never really said much of this story before. My dad's mum was like, maybe 20 years ago now, maybe. Yeah, she just, just the way she went, I just sort of lost a bit of faith,
Yeah.
But it's always been there, and it's coming back.
Yeah.
Especially this time, this whole world change and biblically talk, I think faith needs to come back, Christianity.
Well, let's explore that more.
Well, I think that's what's lost in families too. Like you're saying your kids want to go to church, man. I would love that in a weird way.
Man. Look, yeah, you know what? And I don't want to discount their mother, but like obviously she's not about that, which is fine, right? But like, I can't believe they're asking me.
Yeah, dude.
And you know what? I love that, because I'm not going, you got to go to church, you got to do this, man. At their own accord, they want to know some sort of spirituality. Now, spirituality for me, religion is like a very touchy subject for a lot of people. But at the same time, the weird logic, I shouldn't say different. My different mind, the way I think is, I've actually tried to figure out the common denominator in all these religions.
Tell me, man.
Well, there's only one that I've worked out at the moment where, well, think of the word karma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That there, and when I look at Bible verses, because I grew up a Christian, right? So, do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Karma.
That's actually consistent in all religions. I'm finding this this kind of, okay, because I'm too optimistic, so there's good in everyone and there's obviously bad, no one's perfect, and it's just this way of life. What I love about Christianity is how it makes us feel because of our spirituality, to know that there is a creator, and our creator and the God that I pray to, the universe people are calling it, they're kind of Christians in their own right anyway, because it's kind of like, in my opinion, we're craving some sort of spirituality to give us a way of life. And that way of life, in my opinion, when you look at the Bible and even Christianity and growing up and praying and all that sort of stuff, to believe is to see. Because, they say see is to believe is to see. It's like, whatever it is for anyone, I don't want to judge them for it. But Christianity, I want to talk about that in a way that, man, nothing makes me feel like that. Like, it is the best feeling to have that way of life. And I know that that's why a lot of people just growing up, they have some sort of internal happiness, or I've always lived by values and stood by the right thing and all that sort of stuff. That a lot of that came from Christianity.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's your core. It's like the trunk of the tree, man.
Yeah.
You've got to keep those morals. You've got to keep that. You know what I mean? And that's what's always stayed with me. And you can look that way, like you say, you look in Hindu or Karma, you look Buddhism.
Yeah.
Whatever way you look, it's all the same. It's like that core.
That core.
Just do the right thing.
Do the right thing. And everyone wants to do the right thing, man. Like, people can judge any religion they want, man. But I've met good people from every religion. And they'll do the right thing. I mean, is it like your gut that'll always? I mean, it's like a conscience, right?
Yeah, and it's love too, man.
Yeah.
Love. You know what I mean? Like to be open and love.
Yeah.
Basically, when you're filled with all that judgment and stuff, that just brings you down. It's just like come back. I find when I have solitude, and then when I go out into the world, to the matrix, whatever you want to call it, simulation, or whatever you want to call this thing.
Yeah.
When you go out there, that's when that's my research and development. I go, oh, that character, and you start to work it out. Then you go back. This takes you back to COVID, lockdown. I got to build myself up, rip down, went raw, studied what was going on, then came out into the world and went, wow, man. And as things going on and the world developed, like shit, all the stuff I looked into, it's coming to play.
Right now.
It's
See,
coming to
you
play.
sitting right here, and if COVID didn't happen, I don't think we'd be sitting here.
No, dude. I was my future was different. I had a vision of a different future. Everyone did, and COVID shocked that whole thing. And then now the future, it's a bit blurry.
Yeah.
It's blurry.
And I think a lot of people are going through that. We're talking about it, but do you imagine other people that just dealt with this shit? I mean, this is not. It's not easy. Every time I think you got to look inward, that's scary as fuck, bro. Like, come on. I mean, for guys anyway, man, that we're not used to this shit where we're getting in touch with ourselves and, oh my gosh, man, I got to start thinking about my, purpose and what am I doing again? And there's a lot of the confusion. And I think really just to talk about it and to be optimistic about it, this is a good thing. Look what it leads to, man. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't work my shit out. Like, now I feel like this is
and to take action, dude.
Yeah.
Take action.
And look, why am I here instead of working right now? Because this is more important to me. My priorities are straight. But how does this happen? By meeting people like you, going, man, this is the shit. This is what.
15 minutes, dude. That's all it
Exactly.
took.
Exactly. I still remember it, and it was vibing hard. And I just think that now that we've worked it out, it's hard to work it out. But how do we work it out? By talking about it. We didn't talk about it. Well, I'm just same thing, same result.
You put your head down, you go into your car, off you go.
Exactly.
Listen to your same stuff, mate.
Yeah.
That's why, by doing this, and like we're networking, be invited to speak to other people, go on other podcasts.
Yeah.
Get the word out there and get back to your life and continue your research.
Yeah.
Come back out to it, to society and do what you do best, man.
Well, that's why I'm excited about this, and sort of mindful of time, because I know probably Nick is probably needing to wrap up ASAP. But I think this conversation has really made me think about what's important to you and what's important to me. So future episodes, let's work out, I guess, talking about these topics in a little bit more of a deep dive, but getting to know you, man. And I guess
man, this is just an intro, dude.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love what's happening, man.
And as you do your podcast too, to get people on,
yeah,
that's what I was telling Nick before. This is my third one, and I've learned so much, dude. I feel like I've already grown and changed, and I'm like, wow, like I'm reaching out to people and I've got other people I want to bring on.
Yeah.
So it's just this project that will just happen and happen and happen.
Yeah.
There's
we
no,
get used to it. We're just practicing, right?
We're
rookies, man.
how do we go, Nick? We go all right? Yeah. All right, not bad, not bad. All right, dude.
Cool.
Well, look, okay, so where do people find you? Podcast, tell us. Like
podcast, yeah. The Eureka podcast.
Eureka.
It sounds like my name, hey. Eureka
cool, man.
podcast. So the meaning of Eureka is the cry of joy or satisfaction from discovering something. So yeah, that's the main reason I call it. Look, for me, the podcast is all about impacting others and mindset, motivation, confidence, and personal best. Basically, mastering mindset to live our best personal and professional lives.
Yeah. And what guests you bring on, like your idea?
Yeah, there's
People that
probably about
impact you?
just they're actually people that I know.
Yeah.
That I highly respect their opinion about life. Yeah. I love who they are as people. There's probably another 20 people that have reached out over the last 6 months that want to get involved. So I'd like to be proud of a podcast that stands for genuine, real talk. You know, authenticity, as they say. And just have some fun doing it.
Yeah, dude.
I don't want to formalize it too much, man, but whatever happens from it happens. And it's like, I just know that it'll impact others. And I know that if it's genuine, it will either inspire, encourage, or help them. Yeah. And we're aligned there because that's exactly what you're doing.
And there's a lot of work to do, dude. We can just talk about it like this, but it's actually action. So, like, you know, you go away from here and you just continue that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For the house of Blasius, did I say
Blasius.
that right? Blasius, sorry, man. The house of Blasius, tell me, like, one, how you came up with that name.
My surname came from that name.
Ah, right.
Yeah. And you know, I just thought of the house. This is where I like to welcome people in and let's just have a talk. May feel comfortable.
What do you want your podcast to stand for? The most?
Sending the message out, mate. Like we said, you know, building the new generation.
Building the
the
new
old
generation.
school mentality, the core, but with a twist, the emotional twist. Get me?
I like that.
You like that?
I like that.
Is that good? Good promo? All right, man. We'll see you soon anyway.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank
I appreciate it.